In this video, I'm going to show you how to make drum and bass like ROVA.
So won't you take my hand?
So welcome back. This is actually a new series I'm starting where I use a reference track from a certain artist, see what I can produce, and then report back to you guys with a track. And first on the list, we've got ROVA, who's been blowing up recently for his tracks like Eyes on Me, Say My Name, and recently a release with 1991 Hijack. Now, if you've been watching my channel for some time, you know I actually made a remake of ROVA Eyes on Me. So if you want to go back and watch that, then feel free. But I've managed to make another track where the drop has similarities to the ROVA style. And if we just take a look at the project, we're just going to focus on the first 16 bars of the drop. Now you see I've got an intro, breakdown and build up here as well, and we actually covered that in last week's video. So if you want to go back and watch that to see how the intro and build up was made, feel free. So the first thing we're going to look at is the drums. Now I would describe these drums as a mixture between Jump Up drum and bass and Rollers drum and bass. And for this track, we've used a mixture of Splice and my sample pack, the Future Jump Up sample pack, which is available. There's a link down below to get that. And also we're using my project template, where you'll notice all the crazy colors. You can download this for free, first link in the description as well. So we're just going to grab the very first bar and take a look at it. So we'll put it on step mode, so you can see all the bar grids. And first of all, we've got a kick drum that goes on the first beat here and halfway across the third beat to get that drum and bass pattern. And this is just a kick drum taken from a loop on Splice. You can see the name of it there. And I've just chopped it out because I thought this one sounded really cool for this track. Next, we've got drums. So again, we've taken a snare drum from the same loop. And then I've also taken a clap from the Future Jump Up pack, clap number 4, and then just pop that underneath to give it a nice layer. And then we get this. I just thought those sounded really cool and worked really well together. And then we've very simply put in a Future Jump Up hat loop, so hat loop number 6, and then altogether it sounds like this. Really simple. And then if we just duplicate all that for another bar, you'll get this. And then you'll see here on the second bar, we've got this extra clap, Future Jump Up clap 4 again, with the outs change, so making it shorter and snappier. And then when we play it in this position here, it just adds some nice groove. So then we've essentially just copied and pasted these for 4 bars. There's a little bit more variation here further on. So you see they've just got a couple more claps in there just to add even more groove. And then at the end of the 16 bar phrase, we've just got a little transition section as well. So I like adding these in just to keep it varied. So you'll see it's just a kick drum with some EQ on it, with a filter on it. And then it goes into the next section. So ROVA does tend to just use drums very simple like this, a really heavy hitting kick drum and a nice, like almost fluffy but still heavy snare / clap, which is why we've got a mixture of both in here with the snare layered with the clap. And then again, just nice flowing hi-hats and a little bit of groove here. So now let's look at the basses. So if we look at the whole 8 bars, you can see I'm using the A-B-A-C method. So this section here is A, and I'll just put a mark here so you can see. So I'll rename this A. This section is B. This section is A again. And then this section is C. And then this is essentially just copied for the next 8 bars as well. So you'll see why these are both called A. That is an exact copy of that. And then B is like a slightly varied copy of A. And then C is a completely new transition area. So if we look at A first, we've got an 808 bass. So ROVA loves using 808 basses. He loves using like these futuristic sounds like the frog bass. And he loves using like little supporting basses to go around the track as well to fill in the gaps. So you can see there's a little bass before here. And this is actually from an 808 sample. It sounded like this. And I actually found this right at the end of it. It like pitched up the 808 a bit, so it sounds like this. And I just chopped it out and kept that bit because I thought it sounded awesome. And then the very first bass hit is an 808, it's just playing a D. And if we take a look at it, it's from the Rollers pack actually, and it's just a sine wave with some coarse pitch on it to make it FUD and some distortion and compression on it. So you can see this coarse pitch is on here. Shift Alt click to get it to change angle like that. That sounds really cool for the first hit. And then for the main bass, we found this really awesome sample on Splice, which sounds like this. So I just chopped this bit out and then copied it like this and put some crazy effects on. So we've got some Saturn on it, we've got some EQ, we've got some reverb, and then we've got more reverb on the bass reverb channel, which is just a Valhalla reverb and an EQ. And then altogether it sounds like this, playing 4 times. And then these, so you can see here, are just sub basses to go with this froggy sound. And then to finish off section A, we've got this end bass, which is a sound from the Future Jump Up pack, one of the stab basses in it. It's just 2 wavetables, a noise, a filter, and then these LFOs doing their business. So you can see we've got distortion, compression, a filter on it, and it sounds really awesome. And this is just playing D sharp to D. So the first section sounds like this. And just ignore the weird sounds, that's just the kickstart to the sidechain hitting when the drums aren't hitting. So this is then copied to here. So that's A section complete. And then also we've just copied this to B as well. But then we've just made slight variations. So we've just made this hit twice. So really simple. Step mode, you can just, if I just remove that, I've just copied this here, drag this across, and then copied that there, shift and drag to make that variation. And then the end section is literally just another sample I found. And then I just copied the first bit and changed the pitch. So you can see the pitch is adjusted here. And pitch is adjusted here to get this sound in the key of D minor. You can see it's absolutely being blasted as well. And then the post-processing on this is literally reverb, EQ, Pro MB, and more EQ, bringing out the sounds. So I was just messing about with what sounds I could bring out more there. And then we've got this thing at the bottom here. Not sure why that's there, just adding a nice layer to it as well. So yeah, that is the drop complete. And then we've just copied it, and then it just goes into a different section here, like a transition section, and then it goes back into the drop further on with just slight variations in it throughout. Now this track is actually released as well if you want to listen to it. It's called Take My Hand. It's available on all platforms like Spotify, SoundCloud, and it's available to buy on Bandcamp. Let me know what you think of the tune. So then just to go over a couple of other sections, we've got some one-shot effects just thrown in to keep the track moving. And these are in the form of vocal risers and vocal hits. You can see we've also got vocals in the transition sections here and here. And we've got instrument effects as well, like this transition section, this vocal weird hit. And then we've got some effects down here as well. I think this is a gunshot sound. And then we've got a plucky style sound as well. So you just got to get creative with these sounds, see what you can find and put them in the little gaps. So you can see this is just randomly put here because there's a little gap here. You see there's a gap there in the basses? So I put the effects there. And then we've got this vocal riser at the end of the 4-bar section, which sounds like this. Just adds a nice little effects. And then just whacked random little bits in like that as well. And it sounds really awesome. And then that's just copied across. And then this little transition bit here. So won't you take my hand? You can hear that little transition behind it with the vocal as well. Just keeps the track moving. So that's ROVA complete. Are there any artists you want me to recreate? If there are, leave them down below. It can be any genre of drum and bass. It doesn't even have to be drum and bass. Maybe bassline, because you know I used to produce a lot of bassline. I could even try garage maybe, and potentially dubstep as well, or 140. Just whoever you think is popping off right now and is making insane music, just let me know down below. Now let's listen to the track.
So won't you take my hand? So won't you take my hand?
Now I mentioned earlier, I actually did recreate Eyes on Me by ROVA. So if you want to watch that, then I'll leave that here for you to watch. And then you can get stuck into learning more about ROVA and how he makes awesome drum and bass.